What awaits humanity in the new solar year from March 2026 to March 2027, and how to pass through it? From mid-March to the first days of April 2026, a period of the birth of the new solar year will unfold under the aegis of the karmic hierarchies. This will be a very unusual beginning of the Kaliga, the turning of the solar year cycle, a beginning that will mark the birth not only of a calendar year, but of a much longer period. For both the individual human being and entire countries, this period of about 2 weeks will become another important examination of maturity, a test of readiness to enter a new and fateful stage of destiny. The karmic hierarchies will determine what within a person's inner being, as well as within the collective personality of nations, is aligned with the new period and will have the honor of continuing and developing, and what will be cast aside and not allowed through. And if a person as an individual or an entire country as a community of human ideas and values cannot consciously help the hierarchies of karma bring their state into order and into harmony with the design of the one creator for the new period of humanity's development, then entry into the new cycle for both individuals and whole nations may be very painful. Usually, a new Kali god, the sacred wheel of the solar year, arrives like a celebration, coinciding with the beginning of spring and the flowering of nature. But this time, it comes as a stern examination. And yet, for those who have already realized that they do not live inside the matrix of their own illusions or political games, but in the matrix of the Supreme Mind, who sends souls to earth to mature and learn to be loving and conscious no matter what, for such souls, this period will become a celebration, because for those who love to learn with devotion, an exam is a sacred joy. But for those who have not yet understood the true meaning of their time on earth, the spring of 2026 may become a heavy season of trials, both in personal life and in geopolitical events. Spring 2026 will begin a new cycle by exposing false ideologies, manipulative values, and deceptive beliefs. The requests and intentions of both ordinary people and political leaders will be tested for their alignment with the new cycle of the golden age of technological progress and artificial intelligence. In such a period, for its further development and even its survival as a species, humanity must finally grow up. It must free itself from manipulation of consciousness, from false selfish goals, from the illusion that revenge is justice. Spiritual development must keep pace with technological development. Only if humanity becomes an example of a highly spiritual, mature, and wise collective being will it be able to survive in the age of artificial intelligence. For AI learns from human history and human knowledge. And if humanity itself does not become an example of love, compassion, and wisdom, then based on the example of people themselves, what conclusion do you think AI will eventually draw about humanity? So either we enter a mature golden age of wisdom and prosperity, or karmic structures do not punish. They are the algorithms of the Most High, and they only help the higher will be fulfilled. They help people pass through their lessons. The better humanity has studied during the previous period, the lighter its examinations will be. And by what is happening in geopolitics now, you may draw your own conclusion that the learning of the previous cycle was not successful. That is why the spring of 2026 may be accompanied by the creation of new political blocs leading to further ideological and political struggle, the collapse of old political structures and foundations, harsh political reforms, and decisions that are often poorly understood and poorly prepared, and an ever greater desire among politicians to resolve issues through military conflict rather than diplomacy. And this large-scale geopolitical restructuring will continue not only throughout the spring of 2026, but throughout the entire collegiate, the turning of the solar year cycle, that is, until the middle of spring 2027. This will be a struggle of ideas and beliefs, a struggle of values. Outwardly, it may appear and even be perceived by the participants themselves as a struggle for territory, influence, or resources. But in reality, it will most often be an unconscious struggle for something deeper, for a particular vision of the future, though most often an erroneous one. But both on the level of the individual person and on the level of an entire nation, all the events of spring 2026, as well as of the whole year that follows, will test human civilization for resilience and for purification from illusory values, manipulative ideas, and imposed ambitions. Entire peoples will have to go through a painful awakening, realizing and understanding that what they often believed to be truth was only veiled ambitions of power that brought nothing good to the people. Those nations that cope with this task will survive as collective souls, having grown within themselves a new generation of mature spiritual political leaders. But those who remain in illusion and continue feeding false political egregores with their emotions may collapse entirely as countries economically, territorially, or even politically, because those whose vision of the future aligns with the Creator's design for the new period will not be drawn into conflicts, much less begin them. They will create. They will create new meanings, a new life of their own. They simply will not have time to be distracted by conflict and manipulation. Enlightened souls, and even simply mature and conscious ones, will be occupied with their calling and their service to the Creator. For such souls, the new cycle will bring much blessed and meaningful work of service. The rest will pass through purification either through inner conflict among their own subpersonalities on the level of the individual soul, through tearing conflicts between political blocs on the level of the nation, or through military conflicts on the level of geopolitics. And here it is important to understand a soul that is inwardly mature does not become entangled in conflict even when outwardly standing within its field of action, while an immature soul somehow manages to become entangled even in a conflict that has nothing to do with it. Against the backdrop of all these geopolitical events, an invisible battle for consciousness will unfold, many backstage games in diplomatic circles, many manipulations of the human mind through informational noise and mental pollution. The one who can withstand this pressure will be the one who is able not to be pulled into the informational storm, who can observe it calmly and wisely, who does not surrender to emotion, who does not allow themselves to be provoked into emotional reactions, and who is not carried away by manipulative streams of information. And yet, simply closing yourself off from information will not be the answer either. You will need to confirm your personal maturity by showing that, while perceiving what is happening around you, you are still able to understand it calmly, analyze it clearly, and not become involved in attempts to manipulate you for the sake of someone else's ambitions. Unconscious, immature individuals, just like unconscious collective personalities in the form of entire countries and peoples, will be drawn into clashes of forces, charisma, and opinion. To the participants in conflicts, large and small, it will seem that in this way they are defending their future. But in truth, entry into the new cycle and the new future during this period is possible only through spiritual maturation, through inner transformation into an aristocrat of spirit, into a noble soul. And for that, struggle and confrontation are not needed. Often during the spring of 2026 and throughout the entire year that follows until spring 2027, it will be possible to observe in the lives of individuals and whole nations the repetition of mistaken lessons from the past, especially if decisions are made in emotion. The most dangerous emotions will be those connected with revenge, the desire to destroy opponents at any cost, the desire for victory regardless of sacrifice. These destructive emotions and impulses will lead to grave consequences in the destinies of individuals and in the destinies of entire nations. If you are part of a people whose political leaders are still unconscious and may draw the country into destructive scenarios, then you can protect yourself and your family first of all by not allowing yourself to be drawn into the emotions that make it possible to throw nations into the furnace of wars and political conflicts. Remain conscious. Sincerely wish health of soul to your people and to all humanity, including its leaders. Only your sincere and conscious wish for peace and goodness for all separates you from the destructive current of history. That is your choice. Others have the right to make theirs. Accept this calmly. Also, during this period, various new unions and connections may be formed, political, scientific, marital, but only those unions that are conscious and not created under the power of raging emotion will be lasting and beneficial. Otherwise, they will only add more destruction to the stormy sea of events. Be especially careful during this period with your time and your energy. Do not spend them on communication, joint activity, or relationships with people who do not add wisdom and peace to your soul. Spring 2026 is a period of entry into a world of new noble order and structure. Unfortunately, humanity has approached it without having developed the right patterns of existence for such a world. Humanity is entering this period still thinking that it can push its way into the future through collision, struggle, and the law of the strong. But in the age of AI, the right of the strong will sooner or later belong precisely to AI. Humanity can enter this period only by the right of the wise and the noble. That will be the only kind of strength capable of ensuring the safe existence of human beings. According to the Creator's design, humanity is entering this spring into a beautiful period of new pure meanings, beautiful bright ideas, and high noble intentions. The way humanity is entering it is the price it has assigned to itself for its pride, stubbornness, aggression, greed, egoism, and unconsciousness. But the doors are still open. There is still hope, and in many souls there is still much love and pure faith in the nobility of people to enter the new future. Stop wasting your strength fighting yourself or fighting outer enemies. Perhaps someone imposed on you the idea that life is a struggle against someone, against something, against anything at all. But remember the image of paradise from the sacred books. Did God not arrange everything in paradise so that the human being would not need to struggle, but would instead come to know love and the Creator's design in blessing and peace? Struggle in the form of conflict and war, quarrels and argument, was chosen for humanity by humanity itself, not by God. Since then, humanity has traveled a hard road in hunger and cold, often deprived of the most basic necessities. But still, it has achieved so much in science and progress, in art and culture. And now it would seem the time has finally come when all these achievements could be turned towards the creation of a flourishing world in which there is no more cold, no more hunger, no more terrible disease, and toward uniting in the creation not only of a prosperous civilization, but of a highly spiritual and noble one, returning to that state of paradise, to that feeling of being held in the embrace of God which was once lost in human souls because peace in the soul was abandoned. And yet it is precisely now that all kinds of conflicts are flaring up with uncontrollable force. How frightening it seems for people to return to paradise. How frightening it seems to regain peace in the soul. But it is worth trying, because the one who does not seek will not find. In periods such as this entire calendar year from March 2026 to March 2027, each person's choice in favor of peace in the soul gives a chance for everything, for life itself, not only to them, but to their loved ones and to many, many other people. The wisdom and consciousness of one noble soul can illuminate, save, and point the way for many, many souls around it. The more people choose to become such a lamp, the greater humanity's chances are not merely to survive, but to pass through many more happy ages of its development. Of course, it is not easy to renounce conflict, to learn not to surrender to emotion when, under various manipulative disguises, you are being told that conflict can be useful or even necessary for the sake of justice, the common good, or something else sweetly dusted with manipulative ideas. But one should remember that in truth, conflicts usually arise either from a lack of wisdom or simply for someone's gain. So, if you have truly decided to be a guide for yourself, for your family, and for many other people into the new cycle of humanity, into the mature golden age, then turn to the Creator with a prayer for help in sustaining you on this path. With the love and devotion of a loving child, ask the one Creator, the Heavenly Father, to help you understand what illusory values you are still living by and where your soul is still mistaken, taking for love and nobility that which is not truly so. Ask the Heavenly Father to help cleanse you of everything false that has been imposed on you through the manipulations of people. Ask for help and support so that your heart may be filled with the truth of divine love and wisdom. Ask the Heavenly Father to help you understand and realize what kind of person, according to His design, you are meant to become in the new cycle of human civilization beginning in March 2026, so that the Heavenly Father may rejoice in you. Ask the Heavenly Father for help and support in awakening within you the light field power that will help you fulfill your light field calling in the new golden mature age beginning in the spring of 2026 in such a way as to bring joy to the Heavenly Father. And do not forget, when addressing the one Creator, the Heavenly Father, to add at the end of your prayer, Thy holy will be done in all things. Prayer for entering the new golden cycle from March 2026 with blessing from above. One Creator, our Heavenly Father, as your sincere, devoted, and loving child, I ask you to help me understand which illusory values I still mistake for the real ones, and where my soul is still in error, taking for love and nobility that which is not truly so. One Creator, our Heavenly Father, as your sincere, devoted, and loving child, I ask you to help me cleanse myself of all that is false, all that has been imposed on me through the manipulations of people. One Creator, our Heavenly Father, as your sincere, devoted, and loving child, I ask for your help and support that my heart may be filled with the truth of divine love and wisdom. One Creator, our Heavenly Father, as your sincere, devoted, and loving child, I ask you to help me understand and realize what kind of person, according to your holy design, I am meant to become in the new cycle of human civilization beginning in March 2026, so that I may bring you joy. One Creator, our Heavenly Father, as your sincere, devoted, and loving child, I ask you for help and support in awakening within me the light-filled noble strengths that will help me fulfill my brightest and noblest calling according to your holy will in the new golden mature age beginning in the spring of 2026, so that I may bring joy to you, our one Heavenly Father. Thy holy will be done in all things. One Creator, our Heavenly Father. This prayer will support you throughout the year from mid-March 2026 until the end of March 2027, and especially from March 17th to April 5th, 2026, during the period of the strongest energies of the new Collegat, the sacred wheel of the solar year. If you read it regularly, sincerely, and consciously, with an open heart, for the sake of light field transformation and not for personal gain, then high and luminous answers and support will come from above for truly important deeds, so that in the new future, your own blessed and beautiful brick may also be laid into its foundation, and perhaps even a whole wall or an entire floor may be built. Also during the period from March 17th to April 5th, 2026, it is very important to remain in the blessed silence of the heart. Try not to speak words that do not need to be spoken. Speak only when it is truly necessary and when your words carry kindness and tenderness. Try to cultivate discipline in the way you organize your day. Improve your daily rhythm and your way of eating. During this period, that will be a useful request to life to improve the outer conditions of living and preserve your energy for what truly matters. And as I have already said in my other videos, throughout this whole year it will be very important each day to take, even if only a small one, a completed step in the direction of your chosen light-filled goals. And it is especially important to establish this as a habit from March 17th to April 5th, 2026. May your future in the new mature cycle of humanity be full of light. May your soul be conscious and wise. And may the inner child preserved within you remain kind and sincere, protected by your mature self, with love and faith in people, your El and Nuko.